Hello, and welcome to whatever we're doing today. Is my friend here?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay, he's here. Hello, welcome today to this place that we've walked into.
Where are we right now, man? I haven't been here a bit.
Ryan's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know, but I'm
Starting
going
off
with it.
Explicit. I go, welcome. Yes, I heard you were coming here today for a very specific reason. That you're looking for something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perusing around.
You're perusing. Well, have I got the thing that you need today?
All right.
Do you know what that is?
No, I don't know how you know me more than I know myself, but...
I don't. Why don't you tell me about yourself?
Well, I'm Ryan. I run a podcast. I'm currently
Don't know what that is. Podcast.
Yeah, I'll teach it to you later.
You want to cast some spells?
Sure. I mean, if you got any scrolls or anything, I'd happily pick them up.
Scrolls, he says. Do I have scrolls? No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
It's John over there in the next shop. What are you looking for?
Okay.
Trinkets, baubles? Yeah, I have those.
What kind of trinkets and baubles? I mean, I could just go to the general store. I don't know how I made it over here to you.
Okay. No, the general store does not have my sorts of high-level trinkets and baubles, but you'll have to consult with the manager if you want to see the good things. We need to build a relationship. You can't just give these things out willy-nilly.
Well, why not? I mean, you like gold. How about we meet around the back after you get off work, and I'll give you...
hey, take me to dinner first.
Well, no, I'm just going to give you some extra gold, and then maybe you let me see the wares that you're talking about.
I don't know, man. I don't know. If I wanted to show you the wares, I'd have to get the approval of the almighty, I guess, overseer.
All right, who's
if
this
you're ready
asshole?
for one of these things. Yeah. Ryan, are you calling yourself an asshole?
I'm the overseer?
Well, I mean, of my world, of Braxton's world, at least.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, skit done. You're not getting any items from this guy. I don't give a shit.
Damn.
Nothing for man. I'm real explicit today.
Yeah, so if your players just start shitting on some dude's shop, are you just gonna say, "All right, dude, get out of here"?
I mean, if that's his MO, man. If he doesn't want any sort of crappy customers, maybe he's real well off and he doesn't have to be
blame him.
White glove customers.
Well, if he's selling high up magic items, odds are you're probably doing pretty good for yourself. They're not cheap, man.
But maybe he's a swindler. Maybe he's the kind of guy that's like, "Oh, this does this and that," but in reality, you're dead.
Yeah, I've done that to you guys a few times. Where someone was like,
although we've kept one of them for
true, but there was an item where someone was like, "Does this do this thing?" And I was like, "Nah." He did not know exactly what he had created.
Big oof.
Yeah,
it's big sad. These things are fun. But before we continue further with the not so obvious topic of today, Ryan, I hope you've been good.
I'm doing great, man.
I am doing a lot better. We had postponed an episode last week. This was supposed to happen the Tuesday prior to this one, but it did not because there was a lot of stuff on my plate, and Ryan was also busy.
Yeah,
so we took a little siesta.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
I hope you're okay with that. I hope none of you out there were like life or death in the deal with the devil, and he said, "Pick one thing in this world. If you can tell me that it's going to happen, I will let you survive it." And if you were the person that said the Dungeon Crawl will be released on Tuesday, August 25th at 7 a.m. CST, you probably are dead now. Sorry.
Or if you signed a deal with the devil and they let you have any item in the universe and you didn't know what item to pick because we didn't do this episode last week, then I apologize profusely.
Well then, this time, welcome to the Dungeon Crawl. He's Ryan.
He's Braxton.
And today we are talking about magic items.
Ooh.
If this was a YouTube video, I would insert Megumin. Like I sent it to Ryan earlier, at least our Discord.
Right.
If you've seen Konosuba, if you're an anime aficionado like I am, magic item. It's so fun to say. It's a good thing. But they're even more fun to use.
Damn straight there.
But before you use them, there's a lot of stuff you got to kind of figure out, at least as a DM, I suppose. And I know Ryan I know his view on this sort of thing, and his
okay.
world is, well, okay, I won't say I know you, but there's some either session 0 or world planning stuff you need to do with magic items, because you can't just toss those boys out willy-nilly.
True. I mean, it also depends on the type of the level you guys are starting at, right?
Yeah. But I guess the first thing to mention that Ryan always reels my booty back to is what is a magic item.
Mm-hmm.
I know it probably seems like a super simple thing, but I guarantee you, Ryan had a rope that said, pull Braxton back and he skips what is.
Well, because you got to make sure everyone's on the same page. What if I just decided, hey, I want to get in D&D today. I love magic. I love items. I'm going to listen to this episode by the Dungeon Crawl, and then you have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Explain.
Well, let's
tell the people.
So there's regular items like your sword. Let's say you're a sword wielder.
Boring.
Yeah, you got a sword. You picked it up from it's passed down from generation to generation. You have it. It's a trusty sword, but at the end of the day, it's a sword.
It's boring.
Yeah. Out there in the plains and the outer worlds, you can find another sword that has a +1 attack modifier to it, or heaven forbid, you hit somebody with it and then you have to roll an extra 2d6 fire damage or something, something crazy. Those are what we would call magic items. Thank you, JD, for the extra emphasis.
That has to be the best instance of that that's ever happened. Oh my god.
He's excited with the magic item, man.
Oh my god.
Well, there's different rarities, okay? You got the common magic item. That's one every average Joe could possibly have.
That's what you would consider your white items, or like
there you go.
boring color
if
items.
We're relating it to a video game or something like that. Yeah.
Like Risk of Rain 2. I'm playing that
Divinity
a lot.
Original Sin. Lots of different items.
There's like an unspoken rule of what color is a rarity. And Destiny 2 forever screwed it up for me because purples were legendaries and like golds or oranges were exotics. And some games flop that around. It messes me up. That's neither here nor there.
Then we got uncommon, rare, very rare, and then finally, as Braxton said, legendary.
Baby.
Damn.
Yeah.
Straight.
Some good stuff.
And there's things in the Dungeon Master's Guide as well as in Xanathar's that's try to, tell you how many items a character should have, quote unquote, should have by this level. Generally, how much in value a common item would go for. But obviously, it's your world. You make the final calls, and we'll get more into giving out magic items later, but that's just the basic rarity. Sometimes your players won't know what these items do. You pick up a sword, you can tell it's magic in some way. The guy rolled an Arcana check, and there's just a magical aura around it. Braxton, how can you tell what this item does?
Well, first, if you mess up and you can't figure it out, to quote Scooter from one of the DLCs from Borderlands 2,
okay,
I don't even know what it does, man.
Nice.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it just happens. You gotta sleep with it. But what was your question?
How do you know what the magic item does? How do you identify it?
Well, you answered your own question.
What?
With a word in that sentence. There's a spell.
There is indeed.
Called identify.
it's the
That's the
fastest way to
you know what
do
it does. It's the fastest way. The other way, you can get in bed, nice little queen size bed,
cozy.
lay that item down on the second pillow, cuddle a little bit,
Give some kisses,
and little magic happens at night. You wake up and bam! Oh, whoa! You know what it does. Man, you can also study it for a certain amount of times. I think.
Yeah, I mean
that's a thing you can do.
You could also, and we'll get into that's the next thing, is attuning to it. Some items need to be attuned.
Merge into my
and
body.
So you could, instead of, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, instead of spending some time to a short rest to identify it and focus on it, you could just say, all right, I'm going to tune this bad boy before I even know what it is.
I've never done that.
Yeah,
it's always turned out great.
Sometimes you're impatient and you just want to put it on and see what it does.
Man, if you're about to fight the final boss and you pop open a chest and you get this sword that comes out and it's got thorns on the hilt, but it looks real badass. You're like, I don't know what it does, man. But you pick it up, you grab it, pierces through your hands, and it locks on. And you're like, crap, well, I can't get rid of this. Yeah. But you whack somebody with it and they just die.
You didn't have time to identify it, and that's okay.
You don't know what it does, but now you got a sword on your hand that you can't remove.
But attuning, that's some items, usually the more powerful items, you have to attune to them. You can only
So why?
Because you can only have 3 at a time. You only attune to 3 different items because you can't turn into, you can't be Mr. Impervious to everything by getting every single magic item.
So again, because this is my life right now, 100 hours of Risk of Rain within like 2 weeks. You can't run around like one of the survivors in Risk of Rain 2 with 40 billion items tacked onto you.
No, well, you can, but only 3 of them can be attuned to you.
Damn. Okay, so that's a
because there's some armors that have extra abilities if you attune to them, but you could just wear the armor. Yeah.
Okay. A good way to think about magic items that I've kind of figured out to justify either their strength or reason to sparsely use them is take your subclass. Okay. That gives you a bunch of feats at certain levels, and you can imagine those individual feats that you get as a magic item, so to speak. Or reverse it, getting a magic item buffs your character, and you can in turn pretend like that's a feat that's tacked onto your character's existence or class. So just in the way that people take alterations, current events to certain classes super seriously, like even adding an ability or removing one is crazy in terms of balance.
Definitely.
A magic item kind of has that sort of brevity, depending on what you get, of course. But that's a great way to, I think, kind of curb your players, like, oh, can we level up like now, DM? Like, I know I asked you 5 minutes ago, but I just like kicked a goblin, didn't even kill it. But are we level 20 yet?
Yeah, it can.
So hold on.
Magic items, especially the right ones, can really sway the power level of certain characters or just your whole party, depending on what the item is.
Oh yeah. Do you want to get into like how we feel about giving out items now?
Let's finish just getting the basics covered. So then, because once we use these words later, I want to make sure everyone knows what they are. They're the cursed items, which is kind of what Braxton said, the one that you put on your arm and it just latches onto and you can't get off. Generally has some sort of bad thing. And identify spells do not reveal the curse. So even if you do that, you won't know if it has one. You just got to put it on, attune to it, and find out, and then ideally not die by the time someone casts a remove curse spell upon you.
And they're often the most powerful. So feel free to use them.
Yeah, that's great. That's definitely good advice.
Just pick it up. Just grab it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there you go.
I know that's Braxton's advice, definitely.
Warlocks be picking up everything.
And this is all from the Dungeon Master's Guide, so you can easily pick it up and understand a little more if you need some extra help here. Then you got the categories, which is the armor, some are potions. They group potions as magic items, and I guess they kind of are.
Really?
Yeah. Rings, rods, scrolls. So these scrolls are technically magic items as well, but basically it's just a spell that once you cast it, it expires the scroll and you can no longer use it again. And there are issues that could transpire, like you screw up the scroll reading and then bad crap happens afterwards. There are staffs you can get, wands, swords, and weapons, as well as wondrous items, which is basically everything else.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard the term wondrous item, but I didn't know it was governing over everything that you did not mention.
Yeah, it's the catch-all phrase for boots, belts, capes, gloves, and jewelry. Decorations, amulets, brooches, circlets, bags, carpets, crystal balls, figurines, horns, musical instruments, and other objects.
I didn't know you were going to finish that list there.
Yeah, the list seems like it can go on forever.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen wondrous item on a lot of the stuff that you've given us in our campaign.
Yeah, I get a
little tingle when I see it. Oh.
Yeah, you think it's wondrous, but
wondrous
really
item,
just something else.
Don't tell me that. Just let me stay excited about it, man.
So now we have that all out of the way. Distribution. Right. Let's talk about
Distribution is winky wonky, and I think the first place you begin with that is when you're making your world. Mm-hmm. Is it high magic or not?
Definitely.
That's the first thing.
How common
where you start,
are these magical items?
Big time, because it's got magic in the name. If the world is low magic, you best believe they're either rare or super expensive. Mm-hmm. And I would recommend, if you're doing Well, while I was doing reading, I came up to the consensus, or at least that the internet's consensus was, in a low magic campaign, these are best for people who are super into RP and fine with having a campaign that spans over years. So perhaps you should be thrifty with giving out magic items, or very meaningful when you toss those boys out.
Yeah.
And then, of course, conversely, with high magic campaigns, keeping the power balance in mind, or maybe not if you're just going crazy, but keeping it in mind, have those a bit more readily available and give that option for them to toss their gold out and procure some magic items or go on more dungeon adventures. These are the more mechanic heavy campaigns, people that probably are wanting to crunch some numbers a little bit more. And that's not exclusive to both type of campaign. Of course, you can flip it, flop it. But that's generally the consensus I came up when I was doing some research.
And you could say that in low magic campaigns that there aren't magic shops, or if they are, they're very rare and the items there are very expensive. Conversely, with high magic, there's each town has a magic shop, and they vary in what they have, and their prices are probably a little cheaper than in a low magic campaign or in a kingdom that has low magic. And even still, so it comes down to, there's in Xanathar's guide, there's a section about overstocking adventure and distributing items. It says that, for example, an adventure designed to take characters from 1st to 4th level might include 14 items rather than 11 in the expectation that 3 of those items won't be found. So some people will load up extra items into an area, let's say in a dungeon or something, in hopes that some will be found and obviously some will be missed. And this goes into the table right in front of that talks about magic items awarded by tier. It says by the end of 4th level, a character should, in theory, have 9 minor items and 2 major items. Major being more kind of the, more impactful items and spells along those lines. But overall, it says basically 11 magic items should, in theory, be given to each character by level 4.
Each?
Yes.
My God. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I guess if you're including potions and whatnot, then perhaps.
Yeah, it is including potions, technically. Okay. But it also says on that page that this doesn't have to happen. It's however you want it to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you tell somebody, specifically a player like myself, that potions are included on magic items, like, bruh, don't give me potions. Just give me a really cool fire-spewing weapon or something like that. But something else I came across, which is like pretty sparse compared to that, was a comment on Reddit that mentioned that their campaign goes for, at level 10, each player should have 2 to 3 useful items per player in a party of people at all level 10. Now, I don't know what specifically they meant by useful items, but things that they, I assume, could use in a pinch.
Yeah, in combat and stuff.
Yeah. So if that doesn't tell you that it really doesn't matter what you do as long as it works for your campaign and what you're trying to establish, you can do whatever you want with that. But the thing I wanted to mention or kind of talk about next is along the lines of I feel as though somebody just used a magic item on me and it said erase Braxton's entire thought.
Well, I can tell you the next step after deciding how many items.
I hope I remember because it won't be on topic.
Yeah, consider it.
I'll think.
The next step to me would be, after you decide how many items are going to be in something, is how do you decide which items are going to be in this dungeon?
Okay, that's pretty much what I was. Okay.
Is that along your lines?
Along that line.
Okay.
Whenever you're making a campaign, harkening back to the thing you just mentioned, or you're putting items, are you the type of person that puts 14 magic items and you're okay if 3 never get found and you leave them there forever? Or are you the type of person that puts these magic items there, and if they're missed, you want your player to find it later? You put it somewhere else.
Yeah, I move
them around. Are you concrete leaving it? Oh, so you move it around?
Yes, unless it's crucial to that specific location, like it's for Curse of Strahd as a bone that you find in the crypts. If you don't find that bone, if I moved it somewhere else, it'd be weird for this random bone to be floating around.
Yeah. It's always weird, and I feel tabletop RPGs for locking items to certain areas, unless it's that specific case. But it's so weird since the DM is able to move anything anywhere versus
Without them knowing, yeah.
Siren outside. Yeah. Versus in again Skyrim, chalk up another tally mark, or any other RPG, those items are there, and if you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah.
And I think it works there, but for D&D, it's interesting because there's a lot more agency both on the developer / DM side and the player / player.
Well, I think it also depends on how the DM has put these items there. If they handpick them and cherry pick them themselves, or if they rolled on the treasure hoard tables and stuff in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Because if they just rolled on that and then say they got okay, in this treasure hoard, there's a 2d4, $250 art objects, and 1d4 magic items on table 1 and 1d6 on table B, then it's less important and it's just kind of, okay, I'm grabbing these items. I like to pick specific items that make sense to the area and stuff like that, that make sense to the players. Sure, you could have items that the players can never use. Let's say there aren't any spellcasters in your party.
Yeah.
You're not gonna if you give them an item that has a spellcasting component and they can't use it, it's gonna feel kind of useless.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a creative way to give them gold.
Yeah,
essentially,
that
like, this is nothing but selling it.
That, or showing the world's bigger than just you.
Yeah,
but I as a player's point of view, I would feel kind of shafted if they're like, "Oh, sick, a magic item. Oh, none of us can use it. Okay, I guess we can sell it." But
it says not for you.
But some worlds will say you can't sell magic items because they're just so expensive. No one has the money to purchase these.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
But if there is a magic shop that sells items, there's a magic shop that will buy items. Oh, fuck. Chalk another up on the explicit tip jar.
I mean, this is a good time for me to shout out a PDF that I followed before called Sane Magical Items. They also have a website, I think, as well.
Sane?
Yeah, Sane Magical Items. It has the prices of what they would say of all the Dungeon Master Guide items.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So let me just grab a random item here. Well, if it ever decides to load, there we go. Let's say that the Ring of Shooting Stars, they put it as it's a very rare item. They say it's 14,000 gold pieces.
How do they come to that?
I think they've broken up by rarity as well as what exactly it does, and if it's like a wondrous item or a sword or something like that, or a potion.
Analyze every atom in the magic items existence.
They do indeed.
Percent.
Like the scrolls are much cheaper than, say, a weapon.
Well, they're consumable.
Yeah.
I would hope so, unless it's just like a wish scroll. And
the Dungeon Master's Guide, it doesn't explicitly say that. It has them all grouped together.
Yeah, I always get overwhelmed when a dungeon shows up in any capacity. Like, really, you do need to... Okay, scratch that. You don't need to plan it, but I would recommend if you're an amateur DM to at least put some sort of structure in your dungeon, because that's the moment where you get the stereotypic, like, I've got 40 billion tabs open, a bunch of pages here, and they're getting into combat, and I'm like, where is the Pit Fiend's HP? And I don't know whose initiative it is, and they just went a corner, and I gave them a trap, and they're probably wanting some sort of thing to be there, but I haven't put it there. And
are you saying we should do a episode on dungeon planning?
I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it.
All right. Okay.
We definitely should.
Yeah, we will.
We'll look forward to that. But I definitely recommend thinking about and having an item pool table or something set ahead of time, like Ryan's been talking about.
I also think it's important too, because if we kind of go from a meta standpoint, let's say you got 4 players and you've just been rolling on the magic item table and just putting out random magic items, and then you find out that 3 of your players have 2 magic items apiece, and one of them only has 0, or has 1, or has one that you don't attune to, a tiny little magic item. Mm-hmm. Then I feel like you really need to kind of break that idea of just randomness and find one, cherry pick one specifically for them, put it in front of their face, and hope they find it. I know I've done that.
There's a very specific item I mention whenever we start talking about stuff, particular items.
Yeah, I picked out a few of my favorites when we'll talk about it later.
Oh, hell yeah. But that's definitely something that I wanted to talk about too, is distribution. And this can get into a larger topic in terms of like power sharing. This is a very direct analog to something in the world. But there's an agency for certain that a party gets to distribute their item when they pick it up and give it to a certain person.
Right.
So is it on the party member to distribute items particularly? Assuming the DM is giving agnostic things that anybody could use.
I mean,
What if that one player just never gets anything? They don't want it.
well, that's okay. If they explicitly are saying, yeah, I don't really want that item every time one comes up, you could even, as the DM, shoot the message on the side, say, hey, is there an item you do want?
Find them in a back alley with a cloak on. And you say, hey, you want a magic item? And you open your cloak.
Yeah, like they have from Hercules? Boom.
Like Hercules. Watches.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's on the party to separate the item, unless obviously, like you said, the DM doesn't explicitly say it's for everybody. If it says something like only can be used by a warlock, then obviously the warlock has to be the one that get it. Then it's pretty obvious that it's going just for them.
Sorry, I was dreaming that was actually happening in our campaign.
Nah, I don't know.
Give warlocks more warlock exclusive things. Okay, so let me paint you a picture.
Okay.
In front of you, you see your party members. They all got smiling faces. They're in a dungeon. They're a little beaten up, but they know they see a big gilded chest in front of them.
Pretty.
They walk up to it. The rogue gets their lockpicks, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna pick this and then swipe all the items."
Checks it for traps.
They do that. Check for traps. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But everybody does a little thing that makes them feel like they have a particular right to whatever's in the chest. The
Definitely.
sorcerer got the final hit on the boss. The Healy boy, whatever class he is, kept everybody alive. And, the warlock just thinks they get all the unique shit because they're warlocks. I'm not throwing shade, I promise. So they open the chest, and then a scuffle starts when everybody sees the magic item that they all think is very useful for their class and probably not useful for everybody else. And the players start arguing. What do you do?
As the DM?
Yeah. How do you handle that?
I mean, depends on how heated it gets, I guess. If it's just RP talk and they're saying, I think I should this item, I think I should get this, then, and if it lasts for extended periods of time, I'll probably end up doing something. I don't know what, but I'll do something. I might even just I can't be like, all right, guys, we gotta move this thing along. Someone take the item or don't.
Yeah. Okay. Any more forceful ways to end it if it is getting kind of heated?
I mean, especially if it starts heading towards combat.
Ooh.
Like if they say, all right, Joe takes the sword, I stab him.
Shout out to Joe.
Yeah. Then I'll be like, guys, are we really doing this? Is this, we're going to have some inter-party fighting over this damn magic item?
Yeah. So, I mean, you could certainly write it that way if you want it to happen.
I think in our Session 0 discussion, and if this definitely should be covered in Session 0, is what exactly does everyone feel about PvP, player versus player fighting? Should it happen? Should it not happen? If everyone's okay with it, then I guess let it happen to an extent. As long as they're having fun. If they're laughing and you're having a good time, then I guess it's okay.
Yeah, but oh man, I certainly get tunnel vision when an item shows up. I assume that it is like God given by Ryan the Almighty. This is for me. Every item that shows up, and turns out it wasn't actually.
It is important to say, especially because some of my players do listen to this. I don't cherry pick every item I put down, but I do cherry pick a lot of them.
No, he cherry picks all of them. You mean to say that an item that gives dark vision to somebody wasn't for the other three characters that have dark vision?
That actually, okay.
But it was indeed for the human.
No, that item was kind of all right. So I was thinking about what this guy could create, and there's a possibility you guys never would have found that. But this guy is a crafty dude, and he crafted this item that, and technically not even magical, but just allows him to see in the dark.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sure. All right. We have a meme in our party that our sorceress is able to see with dark vision, but 120 feet magically, specifically. And if she got that, I know it would have been even farther.
Yeah, another 60 feet.
Do it for the meme. Instead, we gave it to the more practical option.
I think there's always in parties. There's always like one dude the human that can't see in the dark, and everyone else is like walking just fine, and then the poor dude in the back's got to carry a torch.
Ironically, he's the one with the most passive perception. So
Yeah.
it's a unique interaction. I enjoy it. Okay, so if you got a kerfuffle with magic items, I, as a DM, always am a fan of time restraints or just throwing an enemy at them.
Yeah, especially if they're in a dungeon or something, definitely.
It's like, you always need to hurry up. Throw an enemy at them that might make them have to use the item in a critical situation. Whoever uses it, maybe they'll keep it. I don't know. Something like that. Give you a little way to navigate the problem. But assure that your party does not meet its early turmoil because they fight over an item. Unless that's what you planned. Maybe it's an item that curses people to turn on their team members.
No, that's fun.
Spicy. Is this the point where we talk about things that are happening in the real world?
Yeah, I think it is. And then we'll talk about our favorite items when we come back.
Give me that juicy soundtrack that transports us to a better place. Feel yourself transported through the soundscape, through your ears. There is one massive piece of news in our news area over here that you guys probably found out about last week.
Yeah.
But let me minimize my notes here and tell you the specific title of this thing that was released.
Drum roll.
Or at least information on it was released. Dungeons & Dragons product overview. What wonderful witchery is this? It's Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Woo!
Yeah, so stylized as similarly to Xanathar's Guide to Everything. This is another hodgepodge thing of expanded subclasses, more chapter or character options, which introduces more group patrons. You know, because sometimes you have a party of maybe all warlocks, and why the hell are all these patrons having their people working together? It makes no sense. Here's your group patron, spells, artifacts, magic tattoos, coming from Wildemount or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
Expanded rules options and a plethora of puzzles.
And they're
why? I don't know. Hey.
Putting Artificer in there as well.
Oh, yeah. So more options for you. If you're thinking about starting a campaign soon, you could probably...
What's the release date on it, man? You got it?
November 17th.
That's pretty soon.
It's pretty
I love when
soon.
things are announced and then there's like a month or two before it comes out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. So you can pre-order now at your local game store, like Barnes & Nobles or wherever you go to, or online retailers, of course, like Amazon. Super cool. Super fun. I'm excited for it because I imagine all of these Unearthed Arcana stuff are no longer going to be Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, we'll have to do a big old review on it when it comes out, man.
We'll have to do a deep dive into the cauldron. Stick my hand in there, see what we pull out.
We have to like separate it. One on the subclasses, one on the other stuff. Because I feel like, I mean, if it's like everything else that we do with Unearthed Arcana, it takes a while for us to get through stuff.
See, I'm super excited because outside of like Wildemount or things that came out based off of other media that already existed, which doesn't excite me as much. We've talked about that before. I love official releases because it feels like a really tangible thing that gets released. And this is the first source material that's been popped out. Like just an addition with subclasses and things to use, not an adventure or anything, since I've been interested in D&D.
Well, Xanathar's came out during our last campaign, I'm pretty sure.
Huh, I thought it always existed. So maybe I'm lying.
It's the first time
I love Xanathar's and I love this.
Came out in the middle of our podcast, so yay.
Yay. So this one here, I am excited, but I'm also worried because when something new comes out, it means I want to use it.
Yeah, well, we could figure something out.
We can figure something out, but it's always the subclasses that interest me the most. The thing I'm looking forward to most, if they are putting Unearthed Arcana subclasses in there, I want to see how they finalize it.
Definitely. I want to see how they do
with
some of those rough ones.
Yeah, a lot of the rough ones. So we'll see what goes on. Ryan, you have anything else?
Well, in 2 weeks from this podcast release date.
Oh, I get my desk. Just kidding.
No.
I did.
Rime of the Frost Maiden is out.
Ooh.
September 15th. Mark your calendars. Get ready. Get your team together. You're going to dive. Damn it. You're going to dive in.
You messed. You did a dive and you landed on the dive.
I know this is technically also the 1st of September, but we're recording at the end of August, so I'm going to do my kind of, roundup of DM's Guild stuff that came out.
Yeah.
We got
Sounds good.
Darkhold, Secrets of the Zentarum. That's from a lot of different people. It came out not too long ago, like a week and a half ago, something like that. And it looks gorgeous. Absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. If I recall, I think it's like supposed to be a revamp of a very old dungeon from back in the day. Something like that. It's like 112 pages of pure awesomeness. It's a supplement that has an adventure, a dungeon, subclasses, spells, magic items, expanded rules, some lore. It's awesome. I definitely recommend it.
Subclasses.
Yeah, subclasses. There's some adventure seeds that get the party interested in this Darkhold. I definitely recommend it. It's only $15 too.
You think it would be something good to just plop into your campaign?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh,
You'd obviously
good
have
stuff.
to change.
That's one of the most useful things.
It takes place in Faerun, so you could tweak a few things and make it fit your world. But I don't see why not.
Yeah, man. You can get your little soldering iron out and pitch patch it onto your
Hell yeah.
campaign. Super easy.
Uh,
Heck. Yeah.
Then we got the Complete Arcanist Handbook, which adds a bunch of subclasses. This came out just a few days ago. It adds 4 new Bard colleges, 4 Sorcerer Origins, 4 Warlock Patrons,
Well, that's what we're waiting for.
2 Warlock Pact Boons.
Can you tell me the names?
All right, the Archmage, the Crone,
Oh.
the Great Trickster,
Oh,
and the Titan.
that's the one.
And there's also 4 Wizard Arcane Traditions, 58 new spells, and 52 magic items.
Oh my!
He said the word of the day.
That's a chonky one. That's the ding, ding, ding. You are a winner. How much is this?
$11.95.
You're kidding me.
I am not.
My God.
They've released
That's a lot
other
of
stuff
stuff.
before. This same team, a similar one for martial classes instead. And that one has new feats and weapons and stuff in it instead of the spells.
Dude, hold on.
Yeah. What's
So,
up?
going back to Tasha's cauldron of everything,
Mhm.
let me open this image. Hold on. View image. Dude, there's this alt cover for
Yeah.
Tasha's
Which are always cool.
And she looks real cool.
Oh yeah.
She seems like the type of person I'd be like, bro, you know some magic stuff.
Damn straight.
Teach me about it. Sorry,
No, I understand.
I liked that.
man.
I looked at it, but man, that thing that you just mentioned is a steal.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to talk about here is I just saw before we got on the podcast here, Dino World by Celeste Kona Witch. It's $4 on DM's Guild, and it is you're exploring. Tell me if you can tell where this is from, okay? Explore an abandoned dinosaur theme park in search of your koi, but beware. Predators of all sorts stalk the crumbling ruins and toppled tourist attractions of Dino World.
It's from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, even the map is it looks amazing. I just saw
really
it.
cool.
It's designed with an Eberron setting in mind, but obviously, of course, you could easily adapt it to other settings.
All right. You know, obligatory. You think they'd stop making the dinosaurs after everything that goes wrong?
But then they have no more cash money for their, for pop culture people to buy and watch.
That good song. Good song. Memes. I still think, I don't know if you guys have ever seen we're not talking about memes. I've seen, what are those guys, long necked ones? What are they called? Do you know the dinosaur name for those guys?
Brontosaurus?
I don't know. They had shoes on. It was really funny. I don't know why it was funny, but they had shoes on.
All right, okay.
Oh man, do you have anything else in your bag of DM's Guild stuff?
Now I'm curious what your favorite magic items are, man.
I mean,
or some you like.
Just take a single guess.
Bag of holding.
Yeah, that's a staple. If you don't have that in your campaign, what are you doing?
Well, you could also have the other thing.
Bag of holding.
The cute one.
What, purse of holding?
No, not the purse of holding. What's it? The haversack, right?
Haversack?
Yeah, right. Isn't that a thing?
Fanny pack?
No, it's not a fanny pack.
Fanny pack of holding?
I mean, I don't see. First of all, I don't see why not. You could have a. Yeah, but I don't. It's Heward's handy haversack.
I'm putting fanny pack holding in my next campaign.
Oh my goodness! But it's basically a
It's gonna be so good.
bag of holding, but cuter.
Yeah,
It's a haversack, man. It's like a backpack kind of thing. Nah, you're missing out, man.
Boy, remember when I told you that your internet was crappy?
Maybe.
Yeah, your internet just cut out. So if this
Yeah,
is
it's
a
been
crazy
doing that.
jump cut.
It's been doing that a little more lately. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Well, it used to happen every month.
Yeah, but it would just be
stream on that
once a month. It happened around this time yesterday, too.
Yeah.
No, 2 days ago.
Sad. But continuing our talk from the magical fanny pack and what items that we recommend you take a look at or ones that you could have inspiration from, let's continue on that path. I do have a couple of people I'd like to shout out that we follow on Instagram. First one is dungeon.scribe on Instagram.
Okay.
I personally love items that cater particularly to a subclass or a class in general. Those always feel the most meaningful to get.
Yeah,
like a buff.
The more general ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, dungeon.scribe on Instagram, made this one for the wild shape feature, essentially. So it's a rare item. It's a small load banner, however you want to use it. Blah, blah, blah. I'll leave the description up to you guys. But it has to be worn, and burning an incense and a small ritual from an animal skull over a short rest. You meditate on those who walked a path before them. Will give you access to Cuff's abilities. So it's got ancestral memory. Grants access to wild shapes of an advanced caliber. Primal forms increases the max CR of possible wild shapes taken. 1/4 becomes a half. 1/2 becomes 1. And all forms afterward are limited to +1 CR higher than the listed maximum.
So are you more of a, you like the custom items, the third party one? Yeah. You like the Dungeon Master Guide ones?
Well, some of the I wanted to give a little bit of shout out to other ones, but
yeah.
You know. Everybody knows about those other magic items. I'm sure you've got a plethora of those to talk about.
Yeah, the other ones, other shout outs we can have here is the Tome of Magical Mystery.
Yes.
Is a one that I've used a few times. I think I kickstarted it. It's awesome. Then we also have the Griffin Saddlebag, which...
Yeah, I got one from there.
Yeah, we have our friend Kenneth just pimps them out constantly. They're really, really good. You can find them on Patreon, but they also have a bunch of free ones on their Instagram and stuff, but all their juicy contents behind the $5 Patreon paywall.
Well, you want to know my favorite item for me? Okay. You know this one. It's the Rod of the Pact Keeper.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Why wouldn't... Okay, if you have a Warlock in your campaign, if this is not in your world somewhere, you're bad DM. Wrong. Dumb. Change your ways. Put it in there, because being a Warlock is stress. It's hard. You don't understand. He works over a slave and hot patron for this. For all this, if you don't give him the Rod of the Pact Keeper, man, you know what it does? So depending on the rarity, if it's uncommon, it's +1, rare +2, very rare +3. What does that mean? So while holding this rod, you gain a bonus to spell attack rolls and to saving throw DCs of your Warlock spells. That's kind of insane. It's a little strong. The bonus is determined by the rod's rarity, like I mentioned before. In addition, you can regain 1 Warlock spell slot as an action while holding the rod. You can't use it again until you finish a long rest. It's a pocket spell slot that boosts your DC and your attack rolls. So
just
it's
for
strong.
Warlock.
But if you're having an issue, or at least your party is, with your Warlock not using their spell slots, this is a good way to do it. And honestly, I don't think giving your Warlock an extra spell slot is that crazy. If you want to remove the rarity thing and just keep it as a +1 for the DC, because honestly that is pretty strong.
Sure.
You can do that. But please give your Warlock this some way.
Somehow. Yeah, you've used it.
I have, and it's out there somewhere probably. Again.
Maybe, possibly.
Maybe.
Probably.
Please give it to me. That's my favorite item as a Warlock. Lame, but just more spell slots, please.
No, I mean it's definitely powerful, and some of the other really powerful ones that can change how party dynamics work. And you definitely have to consider as a DM giving these players this option, like the a flying broom or the flying carpet that can just bypass whole chasms and stuff like that. If you've prepared this whole dungeon that has this chasm, and you forgot you gave them this item a long time ago, it kind of defeats the purpose of even having the chasm there.
Well, maybe you want to take a note out of some Castlevania or Metroidvania games. Previously untraversable areas can now be accessed. So you can think of it as
there's still ways to get through it, but now it just takes 2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to speed stuff up, it's getting late game, and travel needs to be a bit easier as they have so many things going on in so many different locations. If it's an allowable high magic campaign,
Speaking of travel, one of my favorites is the amulet of like planar travel.
Oh,
where
you mentioned that one like last week.
Yeah, on a certain if you screw up the roll, if once you decide to use it, then you go to either a random location on the plane you said, or if it's a really bad roll, you can end up on a random plane.
Can you get out?
Well, yeah, eventually.
Does it transport within a certain range, or is it just the person?
No, I think you can name people. I'm actually, I'm a little rusty on it, but I know it's cool and I know I want to use it. But will I give it to my players anytime soon? No.
I mean, if you give it to me, you know where I'm going.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
It's in there. It's in his campaign. This podcast is just solely for the metagame in our campaign.
If you want to destroy the way your party works, give them the deck of many things.
So you guys have been talking about that. Is that just something that's super random and can self-destruct?
So you don't know anything about it?
I mean, just the basic premise.
Okay, so the deck of many things is a set of 13 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not that many.
Well, most of them have 13 cards.
Okay.
But if it's a full deck, it has 22. And you draw a card. Before you draw, you have to say how many cards you're drawing. Okay, so let's say I'm going to draw one card.
All of them.
Okay, good luck. So let's say you want to draw all of them. Once you draw a card, you have to then draw every other card within an hour after the previous card. It's like you kind of get into Jumanji that you got to keep continuing playing the game. So let's say you draw the Jack of Diamonds. That card is the star, and if you have a DM that has a deck of many things, which I got a long time ago, then obviously you don't have to use a regular playing deck. But if you don't, then you can use a playing deck of cards and have them pull from that. So the Jack of Diamonds relates to the star. The star being you increase one of your ability scores by 2. The score can't exceed 20, but can't exceed 24. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. There are some bad ones. You can get the Void card, which means
that sounds nice.
No, your soul is drawn from your body and contained in an object on a place of the DM's choice. One or more powerful beings guard this place. While your soul is trapped in this way, your body is incapacitated. A wish spell can't restore your soul.
What?
But the spell reveals the location of the object that holds it. You draw no more cards.
Ever?
I would assume ever, but you could obviously say just for that time. But obviously you can't draw cards anyway because you're incapacitated.
So, okay. I mean, it is the player's choice to have drawn that card.
Yes. So, no, I mean, it's not their choice to draw that card specifically.
But that would make an adventure to the party having to go out and get it, and that specific player would not be able to do anything.
So I would say if you're going to introduce this item into your campaign, make it be like some in-game type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The big bad's been killed. There is finally happiness in the realm. Oh.
Crazy super powerful wizard comes by and says, I have a deal for you. Ultra powerful godlike beings on this plane. There's this deck of magic cards. Warlock goes, yes?
I'll take it.
Let me show you an example. Or better yet, why don't you draw a card?
Oh, I like that.
And then he gives you one for free, and whatever happens, happens.
The not as scary deck, though, the one I really like, is the deck of illusions.
Illusions or illusions?
Illusions.
Illusions would have been funnier if it was just references to famous books.
No, you pull a card, and an illusion of this creature appears. So an Ace of Hearts relates to a red dragon, and you can use that to, freak people out or make them run away or stuff like that.
How convincing is it?
It's pretty convincing. You have to have a successful DC 15 investigation check.
That's not that convincing.
DC 15? Come on, man.
Yeah, man, I can do that in my sleep with my eyes closed.
Yeah, but that's because you're a level 9 warlock hero.
You call me a hero? Flattery only gets you.
But commoners and crap like that, they're gonna be terrified, man.
Damn. Still speaking to commoners at level 9.
Oh my god, this guy. Or guard or something like that. All right.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds fun. It does sound interesting.
Let's say Braxton.
Say Braxton.
I should have thought this much earlier, but I completely forgot about when you give out your magic items.
Mhm.
How do you explain this? What this item does to your players? Do you say, "Hey, you have the dagger of venom. Go look it up."
So this is like after they've successfully figured out
Identified
what
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like how you do it. You usually hand them a card with the facts and one on it with some lore. That's always fun.
Juicy.
It's like, you're in Dark Souls and you pick up an item and assume that just the player is able to understand what every item is right away. There's kind of an info dump and then their stats right below. That's fun.
Yeah, I've combined what they do in Critical Role, where they have the card, but I've taken it and gone a little bit farther with, because I love in Dark Souls, like you just said, when you find an item and you get to read a little bit about the world and what the item does. I just think it adds a little bit of flavor,
Yeah. And you can always say nothing and just hand it to the player and let that in-game character decide if they want to explain about it in character, read it.
Share it or something.
I figured out what this is. It's the eyeball of blindness. If you throw this at your enemy and it hits their head, they immediately go blind.
Created by the Mad Mage of Kavath.
He wanted his enemies to be blind. End sentence. Yeah, you can do stuff like that.
Obviously, it's completely.
Where did
up
you
to
go?
You. So,
what were you doing over there?
Did you hear me way away from the mic?
You were like, "Oh fuck!" I just hit my...
JD was messing with something, so I had to go.
JD's always messing with something. He's our producer.
Bob, you can go as in depth or as unin depth as you wish with passing out magic items.
I hope that noise my mic just made wasn't too crazy.
I heard nothing.
Good, but that's because there's noise canceling on right now. So it's probably in the episode itself. Mad Mage of Kavath. How dare you mess with my mic? How dare you?
So what do you think
Every
about
time
magic
there's a
items,
silence. Every time there's a silence from Rhino, where his internet just committed.
It's all right now. I'm here.
But yeah, did we leave anything out?
I mean, I'm sure, but hey, that's as we always say, that's magic items in a nutshell.
Magic items in the nutshell. If you want to look at some more stuff, there's plenty of boys and people and girls and everybody else in the world who makes them on DM's Guild. There's a bunch of resources on there that you can look at. I mean,
and definitely include the mundane magic items, the common ones from Xanathars. Those are tons of fun. What?
Don't do it.
What?
Only legendaries.
Oh, man.
Have your players... Oh, this is going to be interesting. So everybody is just a character. They don't have a subclass. They don't have any abilities. The only way they can do stuff is by getting legendary items. Put them in a dungeon, and I don't know, you can put whatever level they are.
That sounds like a fun dungeon crawl.
Dungeon crawl. It sounds like it's literally Risk of Rain 2.
Oh. He's hooked, man. He is
hooked,
absolutely hooked.
Yeah, he's right.
He's
right. This has been... Oh, I am that. He's Ryan.
He's
sorry,
still
I wasn't that enthusiastic. You're messing up my flow, man.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
We'll flow right into the social media stuff, because if you want to talk to us on social media or whatever, you can go at Dungeon Crawl Pod, Twitter or Instagram. Mm-hmm. We use them off and on, but you can communicate with us quickly and promptly there. If you want to do a more cordial thing, or you want to talk to us about, magic items, stuff you want to use a write-up or like a big PDF of an item you've made, message us at thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com if you want an inquiry about something, or you tell us whatever you want. Also, our Discord's been popping, man.
Popping off, dude.
Popping. I've tried to keep it as organized as possible, but we've got like the bare necessities in terms of things to talk about. If you're into mechanical keyboards, I need more friends who are into mechanical keyboards on there. Please talk.
Nobody is.
But yeah, jump into the descriptions in the description of this podcast.
The link is there.
Yeah, but if you really hate us,
absolutely despise everything that we do,
there's one thing that will truly put the nail in the coffin. Ryan, what is that?
Rating us 5 stars on iTunes. Now, stay with me. I know that seems counter to hating on us, but it really helps us out, and it would be wonderful for the podcast
if you hated us.
Right, hated us so hard in your review for the Dungeon Crawl after you rated us 5 stars.
Type it in all caps. They told me about magic items, and it was really helpful. Oh, they suck. 5 stars.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That sounds about
just
right.
Just like that. It's about right. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks for being a part of our podcast.
If you get a magic item that sentences us to some other nether plane, just think twice.
I wouldn't even talk about sentient magic items. That might be a whole separate beast.
I've gotten one of those. I can't believe we forgot to mention that. Yeah, there are items that can speak to you. Think about that.
Think about it.
Wait for the next episode.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.